Hello, it's Shaggy SoCal with 2Old4Forza, and time for the next track guide for TNT Season 41 in the Honda Mugen CRX. Mugen? Don't know how that's pronounced, but this is take 3 of the track guide for the Circuit de los Arthur Le Mans Bugatti circuit. I don't know what was going on last night. Just having all sorts of stream issues. I had a controller battery that died midstream, and swapping that out stopped the stream, and then it stopped after 12 minutes when I tried to do take 2. Anyhow, hopefully, crossing fingers that this one we can go the distance on this one. So, um, again, so for this next race, we are at Le Mans Bugatti Circuit. We are racing at night. So I'm going to go, do what I normally do. I'm going to go out and I'll do just kind of a demo lap. Follow that up with kind of a turn by turn, what I look for, what I'm trying to get out of the car, how I'm trying to get the car around the track, and just so you have an idea of what I do. And then I'm going to mix that in with the mock race against the AI. Make it, add in some questionable racecraft on my part, to kind of see, what kind of passing situations occur. Again, this CRX races a lot more. We race a lot more close. We race a lot closer together with these CRXs than what I'll get against the AI, but at least it gives me an idea, kind of, where passing opportunities might be, and maybe even things to look out for. But with that, let me go ahead and let's go ahead and get into. I do want to turn off manual with clutch for this. It's just easier when I have to stop and back and go forward. So let's go ahead and get started with the test drive. Now, the funny thing is, there are two versions. Now that I'm doing this for the third time, there are two versions of Bugatti at night. This one is the really, really dark one. So we'll see how the light changes as the race goes on. The other one is kind of more, I don't know if it's supposed to be early morning or the lighting seems to be more early morning, where it's more like a cloudy day. But I don't know how then the light changes as the race goes on. As you can kind of see, it looks like we're racing into sunrise or sunset here. Yeah, it is quite dark. And I think the other thing too with rivals, I don't like, if you're going to do rivals for your practice, that'll be fine, but it may not reflect the lighting conditions that we'll have during the race. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. Down the back straight here. Oh yeah, there's some of the points I was using last night are much harder to pick up in this lighting, much darker. But we'll talk about that. That was a little early on the turn in, but that's an example lap of Bugatti circuit. So let's start going through the slow lap here. So when we were here in the GT40 for the full Old Mulsanne Le Mans, I was telling you guys for the Dunlop curve here that you can, and it's probably a good idea to cross over, into the runoff as much as the game will let you, and do your turn in kind of about where this first hash mark here is for here, and it just kind of opens the turn up and made it easier to get the GT40 through this corner. This Honda is not as fast, obviously, and is a bit more stable. So, you're going to be able to follow the line pretty consistently through here, full throttle, fourth gear, If you want to upshift to fifth, you can. I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. There are going to be lines where, and I've played around with this a little bit. I mean, you can be all the way to the left if you want and make the corner. You almost can be all the way to the right and make the corner with barely a lift. Um, the trick will be, and it'll make itself apparent during the race, is there will be an optimal line. It's kind of that crossover point between speed and distance. So, going out wide left and opening that curve up is just increasing the distance. You're not getting really any speed benefit out of it. So someone that's on your inside, is going to benefit because they're going to go shorter distance. So just, that'll work itself out when you get in the race and you notice like, hey, that guy got ahead of me because he was on the inside. He didn't have to go as far. So turn in is about where you're crossing the blend line here. So as you get here, be about mid-track, maybe a little bit to the left of it, full throttle. You bring the car over, you'll exit on the right side here, close to the line. Braking for the Dunlop chicane is, and you can just, if we have the less dark version, I think it's a little easier to see, but I'm going to back it up here a little bit. As you come around the corner, kind of get your awareness of where that total sign that's hanging over the pit lane exit, that's what I'm using in conjunction with the braking line as far as where I'm going to get on the brakes for the chicane. We're back in first gear. So it'll be braking right as you get past that. Brake, 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 brake. And then turn in. I'm going to release the brakes and turn in just as I'm getting to that total sign that's sitting there in the grass. Assuming that it sits there the entire race and we haven't taken it out. For the Dunlop chicane, this is another one of those where I think on my own, if I do it right, I think the revs are high enough that I can do this in third without any problems. If I'm in traffic, I may downshift it to second. Again, it depends on how I catch traffic and do I have to check up or not. So, for me, third gear here, turn the car in. I'm going to cut the curbing a little bit here, pull back on the throttle a little bit, roll out as I turn in, then roll back in. Hopefully be back on the throttle right at or just before the apex of that corner. Back up to third, up to fourth, cresting over the hill under the Dunlop Bridge. And I'm going to hug the left side until I get to where that curbing, the painted curbing there ends. And that's when I'm going to start to bring the car back across the track. And I forget what this turn is called, but this is one of the couple of turns I always had problems figuring out the best time, when to brake, how much to brake. You want to carry the speed through because you're downhill, you're going to trail brake in. It's kind of off camber because you're turning the inside, but the car tends to really want to go left. And then you kind of the weird kind of cresting exit onto the short, the short straight on the infield there, I guess if you want to call it. So what I've learned to use as kind of an additional reference with the braking line is the yellow tire barriers there. That very first one that's a little more brightly lit than the rest, that leading edge, that I'm kind of using as my brake marker. So as that's going out of view, that's when I'm going to be getting on the brake and start to turn the car in, try and get it to the inside. Though I'm probably not going to release the brakes until I'm about here, where those red bollards start going out of the view on the left side. So somewhere around there is when I'm releasing the brake. Hopefully got scrubbed enough speed to keep the car to the inside in third gear. Through this corner, I might be getting on the rumble strips a little bit. And I'm just going to follow this curb. And I'm really not going to commit back to the throttle until I see the end of the curb there. And it's really tough to see here, but where I'm sitting here, and as you follow the arc of the curb, where it ends, kind of like where the curbing ends, and you just have the yellow stripe. If you kind of take that line kind of straight out towards the two lights out that far, there's also a couple of trees out there that might help you kind of line up where it's like, okay, I can definitely start bringing the car out so that you're just getting to the curbing here on the left side. Very easy to go wide, to exit early and go too wide, and that left side comes up quick. So still in third gear, I'll probably pop it up to fourth. heading into this increasing radius turn. What I look for here is the two signs of the braking line I look for is, and here I went too far, is coming up to this corner. You'll know you're going to, if you can't see the braking line, you know you're going to be close to it, uh, where, where the grass ends, and you kind of have that additional crossover. I guess that crosses back over to the main circuit there. So as you kind of hit that, know that that's about where the start of the braking zone is. If you brake here, you're braking here still a little bit early. But what I'm looking for on the inside, and again, tougher to see in the moment, but it's that same thing as the previous turn where the way the headlights are going to bounce off of it is, I'll spot the extra reflection there on that first yellow tire bundle. Once I kind of figure out where that's at spatially, that's going out of view on the left side. That's in conjunction with the braking line. That's also where I'm using as a reference. So I'll be braking probably right about here. So fourth gear, back down to third, brake, 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 brake. Just about as I'm getting alongside the inside curbing here is when I'm going to release the brake and really start to turn the car in. And I'm going to kind of late apex it a bit, but try and get it to the inside of the curb. And then as I'm rolling back into the throttle, just as I see that last tree start to appear, that we'll see how that plays out when I get up to speed and start doing laps. But usually I'm committing to the throttle just about at the time where that last tree there on the left is going to come into view. And that way I kind of know, I can get back to full throttle and know that I'm not necessarily going to go off track. And I can also use that last tree as kind of where I want to bring the car out to, onto the right side. You can get on the rim strip a little bit, that's fine. Start bringing it back across to the left. This next hairpin, for me it's kind of a double apex hairpin, is one of the harder turns for me to get consistently right. It's very easy to mess up the exit, and either you cut the turn too much and cut the corner and get a time penalty, or because you're trying to commit back to the throttle as early as possible, the car straightens out and you go off on the left side on the exit. Braking for this, I'm in third gear, probably back up to fourth, is going to be that light pole just before that light pole goes out of view. The other thing I want to point out, and it's tough to see, is if you kind of look down, or if you kind of look at that light pole and just kind of draw an imaginary line from that pole across in front of you on the track, that line's going to be right in front of you. You can kind of see a dark splotch of pavement kind of crossing the track. If you can spot it, I usually look at that as well. If I can find that before the light pole, that's about where I'm braking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly creep up on it and stop just about where I'll be braking. And it's right about here. So just keep an eye on that dark splotch of ground right in front of me. I want to back the car up again. And you see as you get farther back how that really just gets dark. And again, I kind of equate it similar to what some of the track markings you'll see at some of the brake zones in Mugello, where I would imagine on the track it's probably a place where everybody gets under heavy braking and they're scraping the nose, ching, 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 under braking, and just over time, it's just kind of put that little bit of a divot into the track that you'll get a little extra shadow. So again, that's what my eyes are looking at. In the heat of the moment, you might not see it, so the pole is probably the safer bet. Just know that you really want to brake for that, just as it's getting to the edge. If you wait until it flashes out of view, it's too late. You're really going to have a tough time getting the car slowed down to really get it into this corner. So fourth gear, heavy braking down to second. This one, if I was, say, like in a rear-wheel drive Miata, I might miss this initial apex entirely and go a little bit wide on exit to try and straighten out the second part of this corner, and get back into the throttle earlier and straighten out the exit. I have a hard time trying to do that with the front-wheel drive CRX. So I think what'll work best, again, in trying to minimize distance, is is I'll ease off the throttle. I'll probably miss the exit, the apex there a little bit, but I won't go. If I do it right, I won't be going all the way out to the left. I might be about mid-track. And what I'm really trying to do is, and it's a later turn in, but I want to release the gas, get the car turned in so I can clip this curbing just a little bit. And then maybe here or a little bit before, really commit back to the throttle and be full throttle on exit to get onto this straightaway. If I do it right and the guy in front of me doesn't, that might give me enough of a run to take a look into the next chicane here, or at least be in a position then maybe to set the pass up at the end of this straightaway. So just something to keep in mind when you're practicing. Really practice. I dare say, be a little aggressive and getting back to the throttle and getting out of that corner, because you do really want to carry as much speed as you can out of it. As you come down the straight, bring the car over to the right side. And braking for this chicane here, I am using the bridge as kind of a braking point. So it's harder to see in total darkness here. The other one that's not quite as dark, a little easier to see. But I'm using the support structure there that are kind of wrapped in the padding. It's very dark. It's black, but it contrasts against the sky enough where it's easier to pick out in the other night lighting. For here, I'm braking where I'd be braking is probably right about here. So I would say, maybe if you're running hood view, you can say, hey, when the virtual rearview mirror blocks the Le Mans text, brake. But you definitely want to brake before you actually get to the bridge. If you wait until like about here, you're probably going to overshoot and have to make major corrections to get the car turned in. So third, let's see, coming out in second, third, might be up to fourth. For me, it's heavy braking down to third. I'm going to release the brake as that sign goes out of view, and then really start to turn in and get my turn in started before that sign goes out of view. So let me just do that, break that down again really quick. So I'm braking just before the bridge, down to third, trying to get the car and the speed scrub down so I can release the brakes about here and start the turn in, but be really turning in before I get past the second sign. I'm a little bit aggressive on the turn in. I might turn in a bit later. I'm kind of chucking the car into this chicane. So the back end for me is gonna slide out just that ever so bit to rotate the car. Because ultimately what I'm trying to do is get the car rotated. And if I do it right, I'm going to be kind of crossing the curb late, but the car is going to be almost pointed straight to the next apex of the curbing, and I can get back to full throttle at this point. So if I can get the full throttle here, third gear, this is easy. Easy, flat, and third. Let the car come out, racing up towards the final couple of turns for the end of the lap. Again, for the other lighting condition, usually I will be in fourth gear. Braking for this next series of corners is going to be at that light pole that you can barely see. If we're full night, it's easier to go off the red course condition light, because it's just a few feet in front of the pole that I'm using to brake at. So if we're at the dusk one, you can use the pole. If it's full night, use that. I use that course condition light. So I'll brake right as those go out of view. Fourth gear back down to third, and I'm going to differ from the suggested line a little bit. I'm going to hug the inside, but instead of where the suggested line kind of wants to bring you to the middle of the track, so you're kind of in the middle of the track for the next corner, my preference, at least on my own, is to try and keep it to the right in third, and then I'm going to turn in for the next corner from here, just as this yellow, as the point of this the yellow painted curbing ends. So right about here, as that goes out of view, I'm going to kind of maybe do a little quick brush brake, release the throttle, and turn in. try and hit the apex here, somewhere in here, and then just let the car roll back in the throttle and let the car come all the way out to the right side. Also, if I'm getting ready for pit lane is very interesting here. So I'll talk about that here in a second. But bring the car back across. So much like the other double apex hairpin or earlier in the lap, the same thing here. I'm going to brake right about where this painted curbing starts, where the point is. Down to second gear. Release the brakes. I'm going to let the car roll in. I might start rolling back in. Maybe just clip that curb a little bit. Let the car come all the way out. And just as I'm kind of getting into the middle where, the Ford chicane, kind of from the full circuit kind of joins back in, right about here is where I'm going to then release the throttle or ease off on the throttle, turn in. I might do a quick full release to help get a little more weight in the front tires and get the car to turn in a little quicker. But the idea is I want to try and get back to full throttle before I get to that apex so I can carry that momentum all the way down the front straightaway. And that's a lap of the Bugatti circuit in the Honda CRX. Now I want to take a quick second just to head back and talk, whoops, can't go that way, and talk about pit entry. Because it's a little bit, this is one of those, as you guys practice getting in and out, or at least definitely practice getting into the pit, because it catches you much later than you think it will. And the wrench is there and it tells you where the entry is. But as you exit, I'm in third gear at this point. As you get in, as you turn in, get it, brake, get it down to second. And you want to hug this inside. Hug the inside, hug the inside. When you're about here, floor it. Just floor it and just go straight. Just barely miss this inside wall. Just keep going straight. Because just past the camera position, the camera boom, is where the game's going to catch you and take over. So again, you want to maximize your pit entry, because if you can get in here, a half second quicker than someone you're trying to pass, you'll make up that time in the pits. But it'll catch you a little bit past it. I think, ironically, it's the exact same place the game catches you if you're on the full Circuit de la Sarthe. So that's pit entry, and I'll do. Obviously, I'm going to do a demo pit here in the race. So we'll get to see how well or how badly I do that. So with that, let's go ahead and finish the test drive. I'm going to switch back to manual with clutch. And I'm going to finish the test drive. All right, so for the race, just based off my own testing, again, I guesstimate, based off of 35 minutes for a race, give or take a minute or two for pit stop action. By my own testing, I'm thinking 17 laps might be the race. It might be give or take a lap. Again, it depends on what I think Matt calculates it maybe a little bit differently than I do, maybe not, but just, if you want to get an idea of how long the race will be, 17 laps is probably in the ballpark. As far as what I'm racing against, I'm racing the same classes of cars. And though I have adjusted, the Forza Touring or the Sport Touring icons. Now, since this is a bit more of a horsepower track and they're clearly going to have the advantage on the longer straights, I'm going to back them up 10 seconds from where they were starting at before. Hopefully that'll make a little more competitive of a race. But with that, let's go ahead and get started. What'll be interesting to see is because like when we were at Coda, it started really dark like this, but it was kind of like dark just before the sunrise, and it started to get a little bit lighter as the race went on. Even though we didn't get a full sunrise by the end of the race, it'll be interesting to see if it's the same here, or if the game's just like, nope, this is middle of the night at Le Mans. The other one that's kind of, I want to call it twilight lighting. I don't know if it gets darker by the end of that version or not. I never really got far enough in the race because I was having stream issues to see what that was going to happen. So just understand there are two different versions of night for this track. Rivals, I think, tends to favor the other one. And I don't think, and I think in Rivals, it's static. It's not, or no, it's not actually. Rivals, it's not. Whatever condition it morphs to happens within your outlap. So whatever it'll be, uh, in Rivals will be after that first lap. But okay, I've stalled enough. Let's get racing. And unlike Rain, we don't have control over what Forza is going to do as far as if the lighting changes at all or not. Wind it up in fourth. A little bit wide. And again, cold rear tires, so it's going to take most of the lap for them to kind of get up to temperature. So just understand the back's going to be a little bit squirrely, but nothing we haven't handled before. You can hear the back end. You hear the rear tires just protest just that little bit and rotate the car just that ever little bit to get around that corner. I know during the race I'm going to have instances where I'm going to clip the inside of that second corner or go too wide on exit. That's a little bit late. You can get away with quite a bit of curb here. Lap 2. And what I'm going to do is, just for kicks and giggles, I'm going to go way inside here just to... You come out a little wide if you hold it. If you were to just crack the throttle that little bit, then you'd probably be able to hold the inside all the way through. At least on here, I don't know if that inside tire barrier is going to be there during the race, but that also might be a good indicator of when to release the brakes. That previous turn. A little bit late. Go way wide. Yeah, it's nice racing a car that doesn't go all schizophrenic when you touch a curb. Almost done with that. You know, I should do that in second one just to show you what it looks like. Again, the Dunlop chicane in second. Again, since you're in a lower gear, higher RPM, the car is going to be. I'm going to use I'll use a fencing term here. It's like there's a little more pointy. You get a bit more point control to get the car rotated in, though it is, I think, a little slower. You know, if you leave it in third, you're going to be able to carry a little more momentum. The car's just going to understeer just a little bit more. All right, let's see if I get this right this time. A little better. That's kind of what I was talking about, how it's like I want to get back to the throttle, full throttle as early as I can, you know, cut that curb and, you know, not incur any kind of time penalty. That's the intent. Won't always work. Still 5. I think there's still another couple of tenths out there. Turned it in too early. Had to get out of the throttle. You can wind that out in third if you want. I think for rhythm, cadence, you know, as far as braking and shifting, I like going up to fourth there, so I can just kind of incorporate the downshift into the missed the inside there. Taking advantage of AI just being slower in the corners. I still kept that lap clean, though it won't be fast. I think the drafting, I think the way Forza works, you can get pretty close. I think it doesn't start penalizing you for drafting until you're in around 100 miles an hour. Could be wrong, but because it seemed like at parts of Sonoma I could be really close to the guy in front of me and not get, you know, the dirty lap because of drafting. A little early on the shift. All right. Not surprising. Again, the AI hits whenever they want, even though we're going to be in that 15 to 25 minute window. Okay, there we go. Again, even that final 2 turns there, I'm really not braking at all. I'm just kind of turning the car and using the throttle to help the steering. Really won't need to brake all that much there. I'm not going to have the horsepower to get by the Clio. And nice. Ooh. Don't know how I made that work. Problem is, look, I've got the lead on him. Leo's probably going to take a look here. Nope, he's dropped back off. Still late on the entry to that corner. He's going in the pits. Oh, cut that a little too much. I was looking to try and cut the exit to be on the right side, getting on the front straight, but probably pit at the end of lap 9. Ah, sun's coming up. Okay, so that answers that question. Let's start making it's really easy to get back to the gas too early and then have the car push wide. But for some reason, I was still able to make that work. I'm not going to get that. But you don't need to listen to it either. Wasn't for me anyway. I thought about maybe trying to go on the outside of the Focus there, but wasn't sure if he was going to carry, take the normal line and not know that I'm there. Excuse me. God, that wide body is ugly. That was my fault. I pushed a little wide, trying to get the car slowed down. Told you, questionable racecraft. The nice thing is with this one, at least if the first couple of laps are dark, you know, it'll get easier to pick up references or as the race goes on. At least heading into the sun could be a little. Didn't quite get that right. I was hoping that, you know, his horsepower would kick in before it ran into him, but we'll go ahead and box this lap and see where we wind up. I can't mute the mic that easily when I'm in the corners. Oh, good. Wife got. Thank you, honey. You would think for as many of these streams I've done that I would just move that phone out of the den while I'm streaming, but eh. Oh, got a nice run there. I think the Veloster is going to have a little bit of top end, but no, you don't deserve to get around me. Alright, let's go ahead and box. Again, you're following this line through. Bring it out to the right. Okay, so pitted from what? At least top 5 here. What I want to do is, just for kicks and giggles, I'm going to change my assists. I'm going to take the braking line, I'm going to turn the braking line off. And we're going to see, and so 205.20 was my quickest, and that's about what I've been running. I think there's still, I think I almost had 205 flat at one point, but let's see, now without the braking line, you know, can I still get into that, you know, into that same realm of lap time? Now traffic's going to influence that as well, but if I can get a clean lap, can I get down to that low 205 again? One of the things I've learned, like, I don't want to call it an over-reliance on the braking line. Oh, before we get into that, pit exit. Obviously, we're not going to be able to simulate. I can't simulate the pit exit here, but you'll follow this road all the way up. You probably will need to lift at the curve, because the back end's going to step out, and braking is probably going to be about here. I'd say just drop it down to second. Bring the car out on the right side, and then you're back on the racing line. So that's something else. Practice that on Tuesday. Or, if any of you get together, set up a race reg lobby and just get used to pit in and pit out. But yeah, one of the things with the suggested line is sometimes you get used to watching the color change. So you have that extra knowledge of, oh, I can get back on the throttle without fear. And that'll take a lap or two to get used to that. Wide. Oops. Got holes. That's a whole huge string of cars in front of me. I carried a little too much speed in. Late there, looking at traffic. Yeah, I knew you were there. This is where it's just, I just don't have the straight line. Kind of wish that I could, play with the AI or get AI that will race at the same pace that I can, at least as far as, that top end or like that, so I can really have some close battles. But it gives me good practice for, can I go side by side with somebody here? Yeah, I can. A little bit of room on the inside there. Thought I got a little too wide on the exit, but I'm gonna just no. Told you a questionable racecraft, and I'm just gonna ever so slightly move over on him, see if I can get him to back off, and AI was not having any of that. Wonder, was that Wheat's AI? No, I don't. All right. Well, got quite a bit of ground to make up now, but yeah. Funny thing is, I don't know which one of them was the one that spun me. Got a little damage on his. Well, no, let's see. No, maybe it was this guy. Got a little bit of front damage there. And just slid there a little bit on me. I had to wait to get back onto the throttle. There was Forza Glue. Not again. It's you. Try and hit maneuver him later, but I want to try and get a clean lap in if I can. And again, I'm dropping to second there just because I'm not taking the normal line in, much shallower line through the corner, so the second gear is better for that. A little too much speed, the back end wanted to step out. You're going to leave the inside open there. Thank you. Got a little bit of a run, but he might have top end on me. We're about to... nope. I'm going to take... why not? Let's try it. Ooh! Go, Cleo! That's the closest to what I will experience on Thursday. I'll leave a little room on the inside just in case. I left a lot of room in the inside, and pushing wide. Again, really difficult, really easy to get back on the throttle too early there, and just with the nature of the curve and the slope and the camber or whatever, easy to slide wide there. And because it's easy to slide, wide on exit, that's a good place to look to pass on exit up to the next corner. E-Tech, yo. Ooh, you brake a little bit earlier than I do. Excuse me. In theory, I'll have what? At least, all things being equal, I should have 2 laps, maybe 3 to try and set fast, clean time without the braking line. Let's see if we can get close. Alright, so again, just gonna start bringing the middle of the track. Turn in is about where the blend line here is. Keep it full throttle. To the inside, break the big total sign. Down to third, turn in. Oh, a little late in the turn in there. A little low on the RPMs, but you can see that's a huge loss. So remember how I was talking about with the couple of the trees there, those 2 trees? When the sun's coming up, you can see them a bit easier with the light. That's kind of the trees you can kind of look for when you're trying to figure out the exit of the corner. And I'm all over the map. That dark blotch. A little bit late. A little bit better through there. Still losing time though. Alright, let's see if we can narrow that gap down. I can knock some tenths off of that. Only a couple tenths down right now. Probably exited that a little too early, a smidge, but okay, somehow I found almost 2 tenths in that middle section. See if I can keep that trend going, or at least maintain. Still a little late on the entry. I think I've lost a tenth or so here. It'll be close. Oh, wow. Lost a huge amount of time in that last sector. Alright, one more shot. If I can beat a 2:05.2. I'm having to use the throttle a lot more to kind of tell where the grip is. I probably didn't get back the throttle quite as early as I needed to there. I was a little bit early. I had to back out of the throttle a little bit to make sure I didn't go off wide on exit there. Yeah, that was a little too much speed in. Right. Gonna be. I probably lost another tenth there, but 3, 4. Yeah, it was like a 2:05.7, but still, got down to about a half second. So that is Bugatti circuit at night. Now this version of night, I think again, if it starts really dark, sun's going to come up by the end of the race, so that'll make visuals a little bit easier as the race goes on. The other one, I think, if it doesn't say like at a consistent twilight, might actually go into night by the end of the race. So let's see how that plays out. But yeah, another fun circuit. Again, it's probably going to be mostly just trying to capitalize on others' mistakes and minimizing your own. And hopefully, if you do those two things, you work your way to the front, or you stay at the front. So with that, hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you on the track next week. Happy racing.